Hello, my name is Justin Johnson, and today I will be graphing trigonometric functions. This is what a trigonometric function should look like. D plus A sine or cosine times bx minus c. These are the formulas that you will be using to complete this task. Period is equal to 2 pi over b. Amplitude is equal to a. Vertical shift is equal to d. Your maximum should be your absolute value of a plus d. Minimum is negative absolute value of a plus d. Your left endpoint is bx minus c equals 0. Right endpoint is bx minus c equals 2 pi. And pi equals 180. Okay? The problem that I will be doing today is y equals negative 6 minus 11 halves cosine 3x minus 5 pi over 4. As you can see, I already have outlined it for you. Negative 6 is D, 11 halves is A, 3x is B, and 5 pi over 4 is C. Your period, as stated before, was 2 pi over B. Your B is 3, so period is 2 pi over 3. Your amplitude is A, which is 11 halves. Your vertical shift is D, which is negative 6. Your max is absolute value of A plus D. Okay? So you will change that to 11 halves, the absolute value of 11 halves plus negative 6. It's understood when you're subtracting or adding fractions, the whole number is understood to be over 1. So that would become negative 6 over 1. Okay? To find this, you have to add them and get the common denominator. So it will be negative 6 over 1 plus 11 halves. Then you have to get the common denominator, which is 2. And you have to multiply the bottom to get to the other number and do the same on the top. So 2 to get 2 to 2, you have to add times by 1. And you have to do the same on top, which would be 11 times 1, which is 11. To get 1 to 2, you have to times that by 2, which would be 1 times 2, which equals 2. And you have to get negative 6 to negative 12, which would be negative 6 times 2. When you add them two together, you get negative 1/2. Your minimum is the negative absolute value of 11 over 2 plus negative 6. Okay? As was stated before, when adding or subtracting fractions, you have to put the whole number over 1. So be negative 6 over 1 plus negative 11 over 2. Common denominator, and the sum of that will become negative 23 over 2. And that is your minimum. To get your right endpoint, as stated before, is bx minus c equals 0. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that would be 3x minus 5 pi over 4 equals 0. Okay? To make this all whole numbers, you have to times the whole equation by 4 to cancel out that 4, which is the denominator of 5 pi over 4. After doing that, you will get 12x minus 5 pi equals 0. To get 12x by itself, you have to add 5 pi to both sides. Then you will come to 12x equals 5 pi. To then get x by itself, you have to divide both sides by 12. Then x will come to equal out to 5 pi over 12. That is your left endpoint. Okay? And your right endpoint is bx minus c equals 2 pi, which will equal to be 3x minus 5 pi over 4 equals 2 pi. As was done before, to cancel out that 4, you have to times the whole equation by 4. Okay? So then you will get 12x minus 5 pi equals 8 pi. to get 12x by itself, you have to add 5 pi to both sides. Then you will get 12x equals 13 pi. To get x by itself, divide by 12 on both sides. X equals 13 pi over 12. That is your right endpoint. Okay? For your critical points, your left endpoint, your x's, which is your x, is 5 pi over 12. And your right endpoint, which is 13 pi over 12, which is right here. Okay? To get these, you would have to then divide the period by 4. The period is 2 pi over 3. And you would then have to divide that by 4. Okay? Okay, when dividing fractions, you have to take the reciprocal. So it will become 2 pi over 3 times 1 times 4. And that will come out to be 2 pi over 12. Okay? Which can be simplified to pi over 6. But as you can see, you can always leave it like this and just add it to this because they have common denominators. So when you add this to that, the x for this critical point would be 7 pi over 12. Common denominator again, right? Add that again. 7 pi over 12 times plus 2 pi over 12. Excuse me. That would come out to be 9 pi over 12. Okay? Still the common denominator, okay? 2 pi over 12 plus 9 pi over 12 equals 11 pi over 12. Common denominator again. 2 pi over 12 plus 11 pi over 12 comes out to be 13 pi over 12. Now you see how they all meet up together, okay? Okay. Then you will plug these in to get your y, okay? So the first one was 5 pi over 12. So you will plug that into your equation. So it will become y equals -6 minus 11 halves cosine 3, plug in your x, which is 5 pi over 12, 5 pi over 12 minus 5 pi over 4. Okay? Y equals -6 cosine. Okay, then you distribute. It will become 15 pi over 12 minus 5 pi over 4. Right? Then, to get this answer, before you could times that by cosine, you would have to subtract these. So 15 pi over 12, 5 pi over 12. In doing so, common denominator, okay, you see they are the same. 15 pi minus 15 pi over 12, excuse me, minus 15 pi over 12 is equal to 0. Then you would change the equation to y equals -6 minus 11 over 2 cosine of 0. And the value for cosine 0 is 1. So it would be y equals -6 minus 11 halves cosine, 11 halves times 1. And you will get y is equal to -6 minus 11 halves. And you'll go about subtracting a fraction and a whole number. 11 halves minus -6. And put it over 1. Common denominator is 2 times 2 Negative 12 times 1. And you get 11. Okay, when subtracting, your answer will equals out to be